Boom, 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 everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I hope you're having a great Saturday and an amazing weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion. Where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color in diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space, that I'm ecstatically crazy about. You know the drill. Hop into the comments. Say, hey, where you tuning in from. This is going to be an interesting one because my guest is just now trying to join in. Let's see if I can get him set up. But hopefully this will go well. For sure. But like I said, if you are just tuning in, like I said, jump into the comments, say, hey, where you tuning in from, while I make sure that, everything is running as it should. I want to thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. We are here each and every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Live on the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and a Facebook group and a website for the show. But I always encourage everybody to, hop on over to YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell notification, become a part of the community. Like I said, this is our celebration year 5 of doing the show. I always miss getting the confetti in here. So confetti. So we're doing a lot of fun giveaways and prizes throughout the year. One of the contests is if you subscribe to the YouTube channel during the live stream show, you will get a gift from the swag store. So subscribe, get you a free gift. Like I said, we are celebrating 5 years. Can't imagine doing this 5 years, doing the show, but it's been a fun ride so far, and I have enjoyed every bit of it. What else? Also, like I said, the swag store is open, so hop on over, pick you up something from the store. We have a lot of nice gifts, hoodies, mugs, just all sorts of stuff to give away. And, we always like seeing as many people as we can in the Color of Motion gear. We got a lot of great things happening. Like I said, I do plan on doing a kind of separate live stream in upcoming weeks. We got a new newsletter coming out. We know the industry. Let me hop over here. I'm sitting here talking, and like I said, the industry, we're really wanting to help the industry and, like I said, do as much as we can. So we've been putting together and working on a newsletter to really share industry news, a lot of job opportunities that I come across and other people come across to really help out the industry, share tips, tutorials, and, like I said, just really uplift everybody through these trying times. As much as I've had a lot of opportunities come across, job posting that I've reshared and everything. A lot of people, a lot of studios are closing down. A lot of people are having a hard time. So all of us banding together and helping each other only serves, the industry as a whole. Mr. Dion, appreciate that. Yep. Thank you. 5 years, hopefully 5 more. Like I said, I appreciate you tuning in and stopping by for sure. Hopefully this won't be the last time. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, I want to make this a really tight show today. So I think without further ado, we can kind of get this show on the road. Let me stop this confetti here. All right. So we can get the show on the road. Oh, before I push off and get the show started, I do want to thank today's sponsor for the show, DG Graphics. They help us do all the overlays, graphics, and animations for the show, help us look good. And if you're a business or a brand that's really looking to level up your brand design, simplify your brand message in a visually compelling way, then you definitely need to reach out to them. So check them out. DG Graphics, we always thank them for being a sponsor for the show, continued sponsor for the show. All right. With that, I think we can kind of get this show on the road. What do you say? All right, all right, all right. My next guest, he's a designer, animator, motion designer, and illustrator with over 10 years experience based in Nairobi, Kenya. It is through a collage of experience that he's developed his extensive set of skills. He specializes in design, motion graphics, and animation during the day and explores visual effects and content creation in his spare time. His passion lies in understanding art and being able to reproduce it excellently while being able to tell a story in the process, to inspire and be inspired. His work has been featured in numerous ads, films, television shows, commercials, and video games, and is known for his ability to create classy designs, bring characters to life, infuse them with personality and emotion that resonates with viewers. His animation style is distinct and instantly recognizable, blending traditional techniques with modern technology to create truly unique and captivating visuals. Despite his many accomplishments, he remains humble and grounded, always striving to push the boundaries of his craft and inspire those around him. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Mr. Wambaa Muiru. Wambaa, I actually recording in the spot. Okay, Wambaa, are you there? Let me try this one. Oh, Wambaa, are you there? We are having technical difficulties. Wambaa,
Can you hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
But again, your camera and your video is shaky at best. Let's see. Can you push back? Okay. Let me see. Trying to log in again. Yeah. Let's try this one. Wambaa, can you hear me? Wambaa.
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me try and adjust this a little. Okay. All right. We're just going to roll with this. All right. Can you hear me? Wambaa, can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me? Say something. Let me try and text him. Can you hear me? I'm trying to type him. Say something, Wambaa. Wambaa. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's try logging off and logging on again.
Hello.
Wambaa, can you hear me? Wambaa. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one here, which is why I say live is fun, because live is live. Wambaa, can you hear me? Okay. Let me try and mention it. I'm trying to message him in. Okay. Wambaa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you right now.
Okay. We can hear you, but your audio is, or your video is like really bad. And okay. We may just have to do you can still hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we may have to do just the audio. Like I said, that's why I try to get guests on early to kind of work out all of this stuff. Okay, unless it looks like you're using a phone, right?
Yeah, because when I connect with the laptop, I don't know what happens. I can't hear you from my end.
Okay, can you turn your phone horizontally at least, and at least turn, because you got it vertically. So I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know if it'll rotate now that you've started it. Might
Or
not.
let me try. Okay, let me try the laptop one more time. If it doesn't work, then I just log in with the phone again.
Okay,
Maybe we could
and
try
we'll
that because it
just have
just
to
takes like
do.
a minute.
Yeah, have to do
Okay,
audio.
just give me a minute.
Okay, I'm gonna log him off. I'm gonna jump to solo scene here. Like I said, I apologize for all the technical difficulties that we're going through. Again, like I said, I try and work this out beforehand, but sometimes that's not always possible. And as you know, what happens live, you have to roll with it. So I've learned to roll with what goes on live. Again, I definitely want to let everybody know of, like I said, the new newsletter that'll be coming out within the next couple of weeks. That's really designed to be a resource for you. If you see the post, please subscribe to the newsletter or share it with anybody in the industry that you know that may help. Because again, that's the whole purpose of the newsletter. Let's see if we can get connected back with Wambaa here. All right, Wambaa, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear. We
Yes.
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, let's hope we can get through this. Relatively simple. I'm going to keep this on this scene here. I'm not going to do any jumping around or anything like that because we got this set up. Like I said, I want to thank you for being on the show. And really looking forward to sitting down and having a good conversation with you. So thank you, Wambaa, for coming on. And again, everybody, please, help me welcome my very special guest. We're going to give you another round of applause here. Since we're kind of working through. And thank you, Wambaa, for coming on the show. I always like to ask, what was it that kind of got you started or interested in motion graphics and animation? Was there any one particular thing that kind of, when you were younger or kind of just getting started, that really kind of sparked the fuel for you? This is something that I wanted to do.
Thank you for the question. Yeah. There's definitely something that got me started into animation. I would say quite growing up. When I was growing up, I was quite fortunate to have access to comic books, mostly from Marvel, from where I used to go to school, and I was really intrigued by what I saw back then. It was really rare for us to have access to such cartoons and comic books in our country at that point. So when someone there's a guy actually in our class who the parents had come from America, and they came with like a bunch of comic books from Marvel, particularly X-Men.
Okay.
So as guys started like drawing from those comic books, and like it's kind of like snowballed from there up to like here, where you can see the artwork and the animation like that I am doing at the moment. That was actually what started it all from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I'm curious because I hear this a lot from, especially artists. Everybody has those ones like Disney, Marvel that kind of inspired them. But were there any local artists or people or content creators within the content of Africa or Kenya that kind of really helped to inspire you too? Or was that a thing that you noticed that there weren't a lot of like local artists that, you could kind of look to?
Okay. Yeah, that came later on, because for us getting comics, that was like, we would say grade one. That was like me being at around 7 years thereabout. So local artists, even in our newspapers, what they used to publish then were cartoons from outside. Like, we didn't have our own local animators, or even local comic book artists at the moment. But when I grew up later in life, they started sprouting out, and there was this particular person called Gado, who used to work for our local newspaper, and he used to do like really funny cartoons, and it was really cool. So also another fortunate thing that happened in my life is the school that I was going to organize a trip to that particular newspaper. It was called Nation, and I got to meet Gado in person, and that actually now solidified my journey into animation and illustration, because he actually gave me one of his drawings and signed it. So like, I still have that paper until today, and the best part of it is I actually got a chance to work with him later in life when
Oh,
I was an adult. So it's
nice.
like my fate was already sealed.
Yeah, yeah. Now that's a nice full circle moment there. Was that something that your artistic or creative kind of passion, was that something that your family and your parents kind of expected, that they saw that you had a kind of creative notion, creative desire, or was that something that was a little challenge getting them to kind of understand that this was something that you wanted to do when you did decide to go into this for
uh,
as a profession?
Okay, I'll be really honest with you. It was a challenge. It's a challenge till now, because we don't have we're very few animators. We're very few. There's like, we all know each other.
Yeah.
It's a very small industry, and you can imagine like a while back when you're going to school, and you're telling in Africa, telling your parents that you want to be an illustrator, a comic book illustrator, or an animator. Man, that was like, no way. There's no industry. Where are you gonna work? What are you gonna do? So it's been a challenge, and but what there was graphic design. But I didn't actually go to do graphic design in school in the beginning, because like the only thing you could do at the moment, at that point in life, was either the new thing was IT. There was a lot of let's say accounting and stuff like that. So I actually, the first thing I went to school to do was economics. So I went to university to do economics, and I dropped out like halfway. So because like my passion lie elsewhere. So so I ended up going to a graphic design school, because there was no animation school, there was no illustration school then. So I went to do graphic design for like a couple of years, and within that time, the school started sprouting out. So I went to one the first schools. It was called Shangtao, and then another one sprouted out, and it was called Mankentank. But it was very like basic knowledge. So here in Kenya, we say we went to the school of YouTube. So in school, what we used to do in our free time,
Well, do
we
you
are
see that
we just
changing though?
I'm a very I'm a graduate.
Well, do you see that? I mean, do you see that
Oh
changing
yeah, yeah,
now
yeah. It's
for Africa? That it's getting better with education and getting having institutions there, or is it still primarily you're learning a lot online and having to do like YouTube or online school or things like that? Do you see that growing, or do you see Africa starting to get more institutions there to train and educate kids on the industry?
Thank you for the question, Don. What's it's going to change, but it's going to take a while. Like I've told you, there's very few of us. So to get skilled trainers, to actually teach people animation, to actually teach guys animation full time, because most of us are in the industry working. So to split yourself, to become an educator and at the same time, uh, help build the industry and do your projects. Kind of is a challenge. What is happening though is there's a lot of collaboration. Like the best school right now that's teaching animation has collaborated with like France. There's a bunch of French guys who have come here and started that collaborated with local colleges and universities to produce. There's some guys from the US. So what's going to happen is content that's starting to come out from the young guys. What's going to happen is now there's going to be a lot of education, like in class, not rather from Udemy or you in the coming years. But it's still going to take a while for it to be like pretty much solid, whereby when guys come out of school, they're animation ready. What happens most of the time is when guys come out from school, we have to like retrain them for animation to be animation ready for the field. They come with probably basic knowledge, but now you have to give them like another year or two or so for them to come up to speed to be able to do to be able to do international quality animation. But yes, that is going to change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, do you feel like, because I've asked a few guests, from the continent as well, do you feel like that's kind of the big misconception from creators over there, that you're ready to do the quality of work or are capable of doing like film quality work? That's kind of a big misconception that people outside of the continent may have, or why the industry is kind of moving a little slower there.
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's a I wouldn't call it's a misconception, yes, in the sense of we can't do film quality animation yet, because capacity, the people, the number of people who can do film quality animation is a handful. So what happens is we just probably have to collaborate with other guys outside, because I see even in the US most of the animation is done like in Taiwan or Japan or other countries, the guys who have like bigger capacity for animation. So I think for us, having like when we conceptualize stuff, and we have very good illustrators, like the artwork is like now international quality, the animation is where we don't have the numbers. So maybe we could, if with like funding grants and ways to actually sustain the animation, we could go the same route, whereby we could come up with the artwork, storyboards and everything, and actually have it outsourced to bigger studios to actually produce. And like I see that's a lot of that happening in Nigeria because they're at the forefront of animation, and also the only country that I know of right now that can actually sustain international quality animation is South Africa with companies like Triggerfish.
Yeah,
But the rest of us guys just can, like, film quality that we can do is
yeah,
like can go up to an hour for like doing a full feature length film. We can do maybe like a minute or 5 minutes at most, but the capacity cannot sustain it feasibly.
yeah.
So I think the route to go would be to collaborate with bigger studios to actually have our stories told out there at that quality.
Yeah. Well, do you also feel like there's a component to where the government is going to need to kind of get behind the industry and see that it's a viable industry to put more resources in building institutions, building, bringing in quality instructors to teach that, you know, film, the quality that is to there needed to be there to bring the industry um, to that level like it is over here. Do you feel like the government's going to need to? There are going to be some things that need to be in place as far as the government getting behind the industry and seeing that it is capable of bringing in a lot of revenue.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That would be a big boost because the government here, um, what they've done is like they've prioritized film production, like live action film,
Yeah,
but animation is still lagging behind, and it would be a big boost if they actually did boost this side of creation as well, as the same way they've done with music and film, because animation is totally viable. I can attest to that, given even as per the quality, because I have been approached by several people, Germany, US, to actually do character designs with our style and actually do initial animation to just guide or do storyboards and everything. But we don't have that kind of support here yet. There's a little bit of it, I won't lie, because there's been like grants, but most of the grants come from outside. But we don't have a lot of internal grants from like our Kenya Film Commission. But yes, the government would definitely be a big boost if they stepped in and said, okay, this is a viable thing, because there's a lot of people. If someone was to look into the schools and see the number of people applying for animation, the numbers are there. We just need like to get them up to speed.
yeah,
If we get the numbers like the way Nigeria has done and South Africa, we can definitely get there. We can actually definitely be a contender. So I think that's a thing we are pushing for, and I think I'm one of the people in the forefront of pushing for that as well.
yeah,
But let's see how that goes.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think they need to see way much more proof than we have right now.
Yeah, yeah. So what were some of the? So what are some of the animations that you've seen that really kind of stand out, to you that you really like? That like you said, you love Marvel. Um, like I said, we've seen a lot of stuff come out, not just from here, but over in the continent of Africa. Because Azimoto, some of the studios that you mentioned, like Triggerfish, are putting out a lot of stuff. What are some of the kind of things that you enjoy watching, the stories that you enjoy telling and seeing?
All right, from Africa, definitely Kizazimoto was just straight fire. Even from the name, Generation Fire, that was just
Yeah,
straight fire. That was really cool. Because Azimoto just like changed everything for everyone. We didn't see it coming, and it was produced very quietly, and it was just the bomb.
yeah,
Of course, there is things like Mama K4. Mama K4 is really nice. It's really good. There is Ianu just came out.
yeah,
Ianu
yeah,
is crazy.
yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
Ianu is nice.
curious because I asked,
And
I asked
also,
I asked a guest last week from Africa, what do you feel like the impact within the country of those, films coming out has been? Because obviously outside of the country here, they've made a big impact. Yadazi Moto did really well. Like you said, Iyanyu's getting a lot. But there in the country, what are the people saying, in feeling about, all that's coming out there within the continent?
All right. First of all, I'll be very honest with this, and it's quite unfortunate because not a lot of people have access to like we don't even have Disney Plus in Kenya.
Mm,
So there's very few of us who had the privilege of actually watching it.
yeah,
Same with Mama K4, and Ianu is on Max, and it's being charged at even the access to that platform itself
yeah,
is crazy. It's only the rich guys can afford such
yeah,
stuff. So you'll find like only a fraction of guys know about these things. I'm gonna talk about Kenya, in particular. I don't know how it is like for in Nigeria because such stuff doesn't come. What we have accessible here is Netflix, and Netflix has a lot of stuff from the East. That's gonna be a lot of anime, and that's gonna be a lot of American animation,
yeah,
but we don't have a lot of Amazon Prime. We don't have Max. We don't have Disney Plus is not still available here. So if these animations were made available to us and the guys who want to get into animation, that the younger generation and even everybody who wants to do it, even the guys who are in like all the way in primary school, I think it would influence them to see that this is actually a viable place to, it's a viable industry and a viable career. But since that is in there, it's still, um, parents are still skeptical to
yeah,
like pay. Most of the guys who are going to school to do animation are actually doing it before they go do something else or after they've done something else. It's like, this is the passion thing that I'll just do and have it and just do it in my bedroom, like
yeah.
it's not an industry yet. But yeah, if we had access to this stuff, then yeah, it
Well,
would really push,
is
it would push.
is the ultimate goal to like I said, obviously, you're create content, by Africans for Africans to see and consume. Obviously, we see, Disney, and we get Disney, Sony, and all the other stuff here. And there are studios that are creating here. Do you think that's what's going to be needed for more studios to start cropping up there that are creating content, you know, specifically that, uh, Africans are going to be able to see and be able to, because like you said, if they don't see it and don't have access to it, how are they going to know that that's something that they can do, you know, uh, or get into if they're not really seeing, content, I guess, by Africans, for Africans, let's say.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, you're right. You're right. First of all, for me, even like our studio, our slogan is tell our African stories. Yes, we definitely want us to be our first consumer. I want like my small brothers, my nephews, my nieces to see what I'm creating. So definitely we want us to be our first consumer, but also we want the world to see what we have to offer because we have a lot of the world stuff here. So we figure it would be so cool if the rest of the world would see and see and hear and actually witness, experience our stories. And you see, like we have our own African superheroes, we have our folk tales, we have our Superman,
Yeah, yeah,
we have all these guys. And you see, like if we had a way to actually get this out at like an international level quality, I think that will influence more people to actually get into animation and get the numbers like we've kept on saying, when you asked me the question earlier. But also what I think is, I think more people, there's a lot of another thing I could be honest with is there's a lot of pirating in Africa. So
yeah,
there's like been a a boost of all of a sudden guys have been able to access a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people have been watching animation made in Africa, and it's inspiring. It's really inspiring guys to get into the industry. Also, with grants and funding, like for we have a local animation called Super Sema. It was made freely available on YouTube, so that such things changed like how people view animation, because now we're like, oh, so we can get money externally or internally, or we can do crowdfunding, or we can do XYZ
Yeah.
and get this stuff out for people to see. So there's a paradigm shift that's happening, uh, which it will take a bit of time, I would say. And then with all the advent of AI and everything else we have, it's making it easier for people to do animation. So you find like earlier we'd need a crew of like 100 people to do a high quality animation. Now you just need like 15 guys and you have something really cool. So also with tech and internet, and like Kenya right now has like there's 98% of guys can access the internet right now. So that changes the game. So
Yeah.
in the next like 2 to 5 years, I think there's gonna be a lot of content coming out from here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I see, the content growing. Miss Elizabeth, I appreciate you stopping by and tuning in. Yeah, what if a series was published to YouTube, which is, like I said, the benefit of this time that we live in. You have all these channels that you can put your content out there. Could more countries and Africans see it? Yeah, I'm assuming, YouTube isn't quite like Netflix. I know where like Netflix in certain regions they show, like you were saying, more different things than say they would here. I don't know if that's the case with YouTube in different regions. They show different stuff. I think it's more dependent on your, what you kind of look at as a YouTube watcher, and they just feed you that continuous content. But again, Elizabeth makes a great point in the fact that we do have all these channels now where you can upload your content and get your content out there to start, building that exposure. And you mentioned AI just a minute ago. We were going to talk about that because obviously that's a really hot button and really been kind of in the news with lately with Studio Ghibli and AI and them getting their style getting hacked. So AI is a hot button for a lot of creators on both sides of it. I want to talk about that, but I also want to take a moment to check out some of Wambaa's work before we dive more deeply into it. Again, for everybody just tuning in, we're having a great conversation with my friend and guest, Mr. Wambaa Muiru, illustrator, animator, and designer, motion designer as well. We kind of do the same thing. And like I said, I want to dive into like 3D, 2D, and all of that. But first, let's take a quick look at some of Wambaa's work, and we'll come back and dive a little deeper into some topics here. Some amazing, amazing work there. So do you prefer 2D versus 3D, or does it really matter to you? Do you like working in either one more than the other, or what? Oh, your audio. You muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry
There
about
we
that. The medium doesn't matter. It's just that 2D is easier to do over here in terms of resources.
Ah,
So
gotcha.
yeah, it's easier to do, and guys like more of the colorful stuff now.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
just go with what the audience is preferring, and also what we can do.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. Before, and I asked you before we took a look at your reel about AI, but I do want to ask you this. Um, obviously, Flow. The Oscar, went to Flow, which was a 2D animated. Really, I don't know if you saw, you know, have seen Flow or
Yeah, yeah.
but done in Blender. I'm kind of curious what that kind of win means to you. The fact that it wasn't a Pixar movie, it wasn't a Disney movie. It was something that was independent, done with a very small team. Did that Oscar win kind of mean anything to you as far as just what you could do as a creator?
Oh yeah, that meant a lot. I think that meant a lot to a lot of creators because first of all, open source software, second, winning an Oscar, and that showed that like with the right story, and like you don't need industry standard tools, what they call industry standard.
Yeah,
You don't need industry standard tools to actually create something that's really cool, because like with open source software, even Studio Ghibli has open source software called OpenToons that you can
yeah,
actually do their level of animation with. So that means that we can actually do it again. Also, if we have the numbers and the
yeah,
zeal and the skill to do it, it just needs us to actually do it. That's it. So yes, that meant a lot.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, and they told me you don't even need dialogue to win because like I said, I can't remember a film that just you didn't have dialogue through an hour and a half film. That says a lot as a storyteller if you can keep somebody's attention for almost an hour and a half and not have any dialogue. It's just sound and effects. So, like I said, it was. I think it was a big win in a lot of different ways. Your, you know, kind of, what's your kind of stance on AI? Like I was mentioning before, obviously I've talked with a lot of artists that feel one way or another really strongly against it or really strongly, for it on AI. But what's your kind of stance on it and your kind of thoughts on just AI, generative AI, and how it is now with creating, being able to create content and the type of content that's coming out from AI?
Oh yeah, it's a very touchy subject. um, for me personally, my opinion on AI is that it's just another tool. I don't think that AI can actually replace real human artwork, or just like come up with human emotion that we see in animation. It could help you do things faster in certain parts of the pipeline. And I feel that from what the conversations we're having here, is people are like, it's divided. Guys are like, this is stealing from other artists, and some guys are like, we need to do stuff faster, so this is just another tool. So for me personally, I stand with the guys who say this is just another tool to help me do things faster. If I'm gonna generate something and then like, I think I believe you saw what I've been doing with AI from in my pipeline. Like if I could generate something and then use this as inspiration to drive like my animation. So it's just like having After Effects as a compositor within like five things that I'm using in my tool
Yeah,
set, then that makes absolute sense. But I don't think that we're at the point. I don't know about how it is over there, but I don't think we're at the point whereby AI can generate something from beginning to end with just a prompt and you have a full
yeah,
animation. I've seen guys doing like like they're doing, like they're trying to piece things together from separate their different AI tools, like
Yeah.
come up with audio from some another tool, and then generate. But most of it is mostly realistic. The animations I'm seeing, even what they did with ChatGPT and Studio Ghibli, them trying to do that style of animation is mostly pictures. So you can't do animation with it yet per se, but you can derive inspiration from it. Most of the guys here use, I think ChatGPT is a big deal because of guys usually help it will help write scripts. Then like it will just help you do it faster, but the story has to be original.
Yeah.
You can, even if someone just did chat gpt like a story from beginning to end, I think you can tell. If I tried to use AI to generate something, and like maybe even as simple as a 30-second tvc, it will be like what everybody is saying is going to be lifeless. But I'm seeing people blend visual effects with AI generated stuff and come up with something totally new. They don't even have a name for it. So whatever we're doing with AI to 2D is totally new. We don't actually even have a name for it ourselves, but it's just a tool in our arsenal to make us do things faster. So that would be my take.
Yeah, no, I agree in the sense that yeah, I don't think AI is ever going to touch that be able to touch that human experience that is brought to artwork and creations. Uh, Miss Elizabeth, totally agree. It was so inspiring. She was talking about the flow Oscar win there. Yeah, I think, like I said, I haven't seen it all the way through. I caught a little bit of it. I want to go back and watch the full film. But yeah, I think that was, just yeah, it was inspiring in so many levels. Yeah, it just inspiring on so many levels, and it gave hope to those independent creators. Um, which which makes me to ask: do you feel like it is going to be those small independent creators that make the biggest change and make the loudest noise in the industry?
Yeah, because with small independent creators, as guys, um what happens is you have to find new ways to innovate. If I can't do a feature length movie with 50 guys and a budget of like $20 million going forward, I'm gonna find a way to do it with like zero budget and
Yeah,
do it and make it happen. So that is what changes everything. So with what they did with flow is they just showed guys, you know what, this is really possible. So
yeah,
the only thing we have now is excuses.
yeah,
So let's
yeah.
get rid of
Yeah, we
those
don't even
and
have
just
those
make it
anymore. It's
happen.
like,
We
what
don't.
excuse? What excuse
Yeah,
do
there's
you
no.
can't use the excuse of I don't have Maya. You can't use that
Mhm.
excuse no more. You can't use the excuse of I can't, fund, my animation. I can't get it out there. There's Kickstarter if you really want to fund it. There's all these channels. I think it's such a great time as an independent creator because the playing field is so much more level now as far as being able to compete, as far as being able to monetize your own idea and your own IP now as well. That's why I love this time as a creator. What's been the biggest, I guess, best lesson that you've learned so far through through your time in the industry?
My biggest lesson so far is that animation takes time. It needs a lot of heart and patience, and if you don't really love it, you will just let it go. You will go
Yeah,
to another career, you'll do something else. Animation just needs you to want to do it. It has to be in your heart and soul. It has to be your everything. It has to be you. It has to be infused, like it's the only thing you dream. It's like footballers, you eat, sleep, drink football. So animation has to be the same thing. It has to
yeah,
be that passion. It has to be everything. And also, animation is not easy to do. and it takes a lot of time. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to sacrifice a lot of things. You basically won't have a social life and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, well, with teams and everything, yes, but with us, like you said, independent animators, independent creators, is it becomes your life,
Yeah.
and that needs a lot of heart, it needs a lot of patience, and it needs someone to just actually want to tell stories. And also, you don't have to go for the biggest medium. I personally wouldn't go for to do secret level type stuff when I know it will break my spirit. I could say
Yeah.
I will
Bite
still
off
do
more than you can
something.
chew.
Oh yeah, I will still do something with open tunes or Inkscape or even like another open source tool, and
Yeah.
still have the same impact because everything is in the story. As in, like, people will think it's the people, most people tend to think it's the graphics and the animation and
And
everything,
the
but
tool,
no,
yeah, it's not.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the story. So
Yeah.
those are my greatest lessons in animation, and that's what keeps me going. And of course, the fact that now we have AI and free stuff,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
Now, you know how I like to do information-based knowledge. You always got to drop a bomb. But yeah, I think it always does. It always starts with the story. I think, like I said, that's the one thing. Like I said, I do always admire about Pixar. Their movies are great because they spend so much time crafting a great story, and it makes the animations, so much easier. So, like I said, I think that's what serves Flow so well. It's a great story, and it's so great that it doesn't need words or dialogue or anything like that. It's a very well crafted story that's acted well and really played out well. So I think most animators would probably tell you that. Listen to, or directors, listen to something without the audio and see how it plays out, kind of thing. It really helps you to really refine on the story, and the craft of it. Um, where are you hoping that the industry goes, and especially as it pertains to Africa and Kenya in the next 2, 3, 4 years? What do you really, like I said, what do you think you'll see, and what do you hope you'll see?
All right, thank you for that. Mostly, first of all, is after seeing Kisazimoto, you see, like, that's what do they call it? Like, it's lots of stories pieced together
Yeah,
to form one
anthology of story
an
from
anthology.
story to story. Yeah,
Exactly. Now we would want to see a full feature film from Kenya. South Africa has already done it. I think Nigeria is on the way with
hmm
something. We would also like to have something like really cool because we've seen it's possible now. So in the next 2 to 5 years, it would be cool to have something, a full feature film from Kenya, and also a full series from Kenya. And I totally see that happening because, personally, from where I stand, I'm personally working on something that in the next 2 years that would be a full series with, like, let's say
yeah,
20 24 to 50 episodes with international quality. um, like I said, it takes time, but in 2 to 5 years, I think that will definitely happen. And I know a few friends of mine in the industry as well who are working on full features, like, at the moment. And without the hurdle of financing, like you said, people already know about crowdfunding, and there's a bunch of grants that came in, I think, this year, in Kenya alone. And if we want to see where that goes, we want to see, like, what the guys who won, like, what they're going to do, because I know a bunch of the projects and they're really cool. Those are things that could stand up to international quality scrutiny.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, as we're, everybody that's just tuning in, we've been having an amazing conversation with my guest and friend, Mr. Wambaa Muiru. And kind of as we start to close this out, you had a post about mental health. a while ago. And I'd like to ask you because, like I said, I think we all, especially as creatives, kind of go through that. And I've, went through my share a period of depression and, stuff that I went through. Um, can you speak a little bit about, how you kind of work through, that little period of, depression that you went through and how you kind of tried to, or how you work through continuing trying to be creative. I always that was my thing, finding it challenging to be creative and get work done when you're going through this little period and bout of depression.
Thank you about that. Yeah, I had to share that, but it took me a lot. It took me a while before I shared that with everyone in my timeline. But the thing is the like I have mentioned before, like when we were talking, I said I can't do something secret level because it will break my spirit.
Yeah.
The thing that happened is like animation takes a lot of time, and with that time, what happens is when you don't see results, you get very frustrated. You see, like you run out of money. People stop talking to you. If you are in a relationship, it breaks apart, and like things fall apart totally because you see, like you get money maybe like from other sources. Like for me, I was a graphic designer, and I would take all my money and like put it into animations, and they don't work. Like I don't get like funding. I do like a pilot with a pile of money. I just do a pilot. I do tests. I do proof of concepts. I hire guys. I buy equipment, and at the end of it all, like whoever we are going to pitch it to just says no. It's just not viable. So you can imagine like 2 years of that will totally break you. So for me, how I went through, how I got myself through that is I just stopped doing it. I just went silent for like a year. I just didn't do animation. I went back to employment. I just did a bit of traveling and I stopped doing animation. They just say change is as good as rest. So I went back to what I went to school to do, which was graphic design, and I went to become a senior designer somewhere. And I just stopped. At that point, I think I was at the point of giving up. I was like, now I'm done. This is it. Let other people continue carrying this. I can't do it anymore. So but that what happened is you for if you have a lot of passion for this, you don't really stop.
Yeah.
So I was just doing like I actually got out of social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I just deleted everything and I just disappeared. So within that period, I was just drawing, doing stuff, and I had made friends in the animation industry and everything, and my family was there for me. There's a few friends who were there for me, and they were like encouraging me, and they're like, "Okay, if it doesn't work out, you can just leave it. You can just go in this direction of career." And in your heart, you're like, I'm going to try." It's like that story in the Bible for Jonah, and the way you're trying to go this side, and then you get swallowed up and you just come this side. So when I go back into social media, the first thing I did was an animation test, which is funny. And I'd said I'm not doing this anymore, but everything in my bones and body was like, come on, you have this new idea, you've rested enough. So I do this thing, and the first response I get is like, there's some guys who are in Germany who saw it, and they're like, can we invite you over to start doing animation for kids? And I was like, wow, I did not see this coming. After that,
Wow.
I went, yeah, you see, like it's just the universe. And after that, I went to Dar es Salaam, and I was fortunate. They have the animation industry is really cool over there with the Bongo kids and everything. And after that, an American investor saw something I was doing. He's called Emeka. He's Obioma Fashion, and he was like, "I can actually invest this," and that's actually what I've been doing for the last, like, let's say 2 3 months.
Yeah.
After doing all these other things, so eventually, after like 4 years, it started working out again. Thing is, I've learned my lessons. I know where I have gone wrong in the last 7 years, and I know where I've gone right. I know what is working and what is not working, who to work with and who not to work with, what can be done, our capacity, how far we can stretch ourselves. So for me, how I got through that is to just sit back and do nothing and look at it from a distance. That's it. So that is just how I was able to get through it.
Yeah, yeah, no, amazing, amazing. Like I said, sometimes you were right. Sometimes you just have to unplug from social media and take a step back to kind of, get your bearings on like what is it that you really want to do, what is it that you really enjoy, kind of absorbing and letting the things pass that are kind of stressing you out for sure. Trust me, I've had my moments of I just need to get off social media because it can be a lot, and I think it's a dual edged sword. As much as good as social media can be in some areas, it can be a dual edged sword in that you can get caught up in other people, expectations of what other people think that you should, and you're not good enough to do this when you're seeing other people's work and other people succeeding and you're not succeeding. It really can kind of almost a gateway drug to really bring you down. If you let it, it's a real downer, or it can be a real high in some areas. So you got to be really careful, and you do have to unplug. As much as hard as it is, you have to unplug. You have to learn to unplug as much as you can to get stuff done. As we've been having a fun conversation with my man Wambaa here. We're going on over an hour, and I'm trying to be mindful of the fact that it is late over there, for sure. But as I bring this in, I want to ask you one kind of final question. What advice kind of would you give to somebody that's looking to come into the industry? Like I said, the industry is going through its challenges now. Studios are letting go. It's harder to get jobs. You're competing with more and more people. This is a worldwide kind of competition now. People can work remotely. What advice would you kind of give to somebody that's looking to come in, a young person that says, I would like to do this, but what advice would you give?
All right, thank you for that, Don. What the advice I would give someone in Africa, especially in Kenya, who wants to come into animation is you can't be, you have to be a one-man army. You have to be able to do everything in that pipeline. You have to be able to wear several hats. You have to be able to draw, storyboard, model, animate, everything. Yes, if you're put in a team, of course, there's your strong point. But for you to actually be successful in this here, you have to be able to do everything, because sometimes what happens with guys here is like guys drop off a project all the time. So if you're leading a project or if you're part of a project, you'll find yourself you're more valuable to the team or you're more valuable to the employer or investor if you can plug in into anywhere. If like this is failing, you can plug it into there. So that is what works with most guys. For most, or I would actually say everything, every single person I have seen who has become very successful with an animation, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Zambia, and the like, is like most of the team leaders and most of their team are all rounders. So just work on being good at everything. Yes, be good at one thing, because for me, I'm very strong in character design and compositing. Um, Also maybe rigging, I like rigging because it's complex.
I hate
Just
rigging.
be good at everything. Everybody hates rigging. I don't know
Well, I
why.
will say that I don't think I could do it as a day-to-day job. I don't mind like jumping in and kind of figuring out rigging and stuff when it's a character that I'm trying to animate, but as a day-to-day job, I don't think I could do it as like working at Pixar or just rigging. No.
Yeah, it's tedious and everybody hates rigging. We just get, everybody likes the fun part, and when you get to rigging, everybody's like, oh no, we're here
Oh
again.
man. But
Yeah,
it's
but
it's
that's, yeah,
fascinating. But see, like you said though, knowing, kind of being a generalist at first and kind of knowing a bunch of different things really does help you to kind of understand how everything is kind of connected. You know, a modeler needs to, you know, really kind of understand the rigger because he doesn't want to model something that a rigger can't rig, animate, you know, all that kind of stuff. So the whole pipeline as a whole is a great thing to learn as a newbie, you know, and then figuring out, okay, where do I want to fit in within this pipe, or what do I enjoy within this pipeline?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That is the advice I'd give. And also, even if it gets hard, just change is as good at rest. Don't give up, but just change. Do something else, then come back to it. Just like don't. I wouldn't tell someone to just completely give up on animation, because I feel like, especially in Africa, since it's just it's a toddler industry. I think there's gonna be more opportunities going forward, because it's usually only hard in the beginning.
Yeah.
Then after that, it's just gonna snowball. It's gonna be something.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, that's super great advice. And again, you know how I like to, I always like to drop bombs. All right, all right. Like I said, this has been a fun episode, an amazing episode, and I have so enjoyed sitting down and having a conversation with you, Wambaa. And definitely, you know, like I told you, now that you've been on, you're a part of the Color of Motion family. You're always welcome back whenever you're working on something or want to just stop by the show and you know, catch us up on what's been going on. If you could hang out in the green room while I close out the show, I'd appreciate it so I could talk to you afterwards. But make sure that you know, you hold on, make sure get there. Make sure that you connect with Wambaa. You can follow him on LinkedIn, Instagram, connect with him. All this stuff will be, all the information will be in the show notes once they go up on the channel. So make sure that you check them out there as well. Again, I can't thank Wambaa enough for giving me a little bit of his time today. Can't thank you, the viewers, giving me a little bit of your time as well. Again, help me thank my very special guest and friend Wambaa for stopping by and really, you know, sharing his wisdom and knowledge with us. Hang out in the green room, Wambaa, while I close this out. Man, this has been a fun episode here, like I said. And, you know, this is quarter 2 of season 5. It's rolling along very well. And we've had some amazing guests so far. And, you know, like I said, that's just going to continue on for sure. You definitely don't want to miss out on next week's guest as we welcome O.P. Shagar, senior character animator extraordinaire. Looking forward to sitting down and talking with him. It's going to be a fun conversation, so definitely don't want you to miss out on any of that. Well, again, I can't thank you all enough for giving me a little bit of your time and, you know, attention on this Saturday. Like I said, we got a lot of amazing things scheduled for the show. Podcast is going to be coming out in the next few weeks. Like I said, the newsletter is coming out as well. So be on the lookout for that. Again, make sure you tune in next week for our next special guest stopping by the studio. And I will see you next week. You know, same bat time as always, same bat channel as always. Cheers, everybody.